This video is going to be part of a how-to series. So this video is how to break down a PlayStation 5. Now this camera doesn't seem to like this white surface, so it's going to defocus in a second. So this series I'm going to be doing things in real time so you can see how things are done. Kind of an actual tutorial instead of just showing the repairs I'm doing. So this PlayStation is not broken, it's just what I'm using to show how to do this. Now, when the PlayStation is standing, this is the bottom. So the ground is putting pressure against the white plates going upwards. So to get the white plates off, you want to go the other direction. So lay down the PlayStation 5, grab the corner that's lower, lift it, and then just pull it towards the bottom, and it's off. This is what the non-disc version looks like. Obviously, the difference here is just that this one doesn't have the disk drive. Same thing on the other side. Now, you have two screws on the backside. These connect to the power supply, and they hold in the motherboard as well, I believe. Now, I do suggest for the PlayStation 5 that you have some sort of automatic screwdriver. And you are going to need a Torx 8-bit. The other thing you might want is a magnet to get the screws out when they don't want to come out. Now this black piece, you just grab it, push up, and it's gone. Alright, so you got 4 screws for the fan, and you got screws all around the rim. And you have 1 silver screw for the disk drive right here. And this black panel just comes right out. I like to use pliers for these connectors because I'm always really paranoid about breaking them. Just make sure you're pulling up on the white connector, not the connector that is on the motherboard. And we do have a single Phillips screw to hold in this panel for the SSD. And apparently this one has an SSD in it, which is weird because this is an abandoned device. Alright, so on customers' devices, I like to apply heat to this so that when you peel it up, it doesn't break the warranty. But for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and break the warranty because this is not a customer's device. Alright, you have to take this out in order to pull the black panel up, so make sure to do that. And then this black part should just come right out. Now for this ribbon cable for the disk drive, you push down this silver tab, and then you just pull the cable right out. And on this other side, there's this silver tab on the outside of the connector. You just push that down and take the cable out. And then the disk drive should be able to come right out. It's nothing holding it down. Alright, so you have this small ribbon cable on the top left, which is for this light right here. You have this small ribbon cable on the bottom right, which I believe is for the port or this daughter board over here. And then you have the antennas for the and I like to use a spudger so that you don't actually tear the tape when you take this cable off. Here's what the non-disc version looks like. What you want to note here is that there's less silver screws, and the two silver screws that are holding down the motherboard are in different spots, but there are arrows pointing to it. Alright, so it's important to note that on the right side over here, just about the middle, there is a black screw. This screw is holding the motherboard into the plastic frame. And you don't have to do this, but what I like to do is to just circle all of the empty holes where you're not going to put a screw when you put in the motherboard back. This just makes it a lot easier to put it back together when you're mindlessly putting the silver screws back in. And then there are two silver screws that are holding the motherboard without going through this plate. There's one right here and one right here. And you'll know to put these back in because there's an arrow pointing to those two spots. Now, if your goal is to get to the power supply to test if this thing is even getting power at all, you can technically just flip the board up at this point instead of taking off all the silver screws. I don't suggest doing that if you're not familiar with the device, because you have this cable right here that you do not want to tear. So if I wanted to check the power supply, I flip this up, and I can put my leads in here to see how many volts the power supply is giving out. Alright, so now for the fun part, to take out all of the silver screws, and I will speed this part up just to get past it real quick. Take note of this cylinder. It goes right here where it says 110. Alright, now assuming I got all the screws, this metal plate can come right up. Now, it almost seems like it's adhered down, but it's really not. It's just the thermal pads that are holding it in place. So I really hate this part because I don't want to flex the board. So I always do this very slowly and very carefully. And there it goes. Here's the non-disc version. The motherboard is a lot smaller, but the concepts of the repair are exactly the same. So to get this ribbon cable out, you're going to push down on this and then just pull the cable right out. Try to pull it out evenly. Be kind of gentle. And we are going to take off the clamp from the CPU. Alright, so now there should be nothing holding the board back from lifting off of the other plate as well. Although, same concept as before. Go slow, don't flex the board, be gentle. And the other thing you need to be conscious about is the liquid metal on the CPU. You don't want that going outside where it's supposed to go. Gonna take it out of this. Here's what the underside of the non-disc version looks like. Nothing of interest here, just for your knowledge. Oh, that always scares me. Just be very gentle with this board. Alright, so this is the liquid metal that I was referring to. You don't want this to get outside of this area at all. Now, if you want to get the heatsink off, you can take off these screws right here, and then that piece will come right off. Just remember, keep this part face up because of the liquid metal. You always got to be conscious about the liquid metal. Alright, so the last part of the teardown is the power supply. Now, it's not being held down by anything right now. It's only being held down by like this piece of plastic right here. So all you do is grab the front of it, lift it up, and pull it straight out. And with that, the teardown is done. If there's any specific how-to video you would like me to cover, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best.